Hey bees, I'm Marie from Humblebee and Me, and today we're making my 2-in-1 creamy hair conditioner because I ran out of conditioner. And also a bunch of you have requested that I make a video of this exact recipe. The two parts are the conditioning part, which is, some lovely oils and butters and some silk and phytokeratin to sort of add some luster and bounce and hydration to our hair. And the second part is the acidic rinse. So we're adding a bit of apple cider vinegar to the water part of this conditioner so that we don't have to do an acidic rinse separately of our hair conditioner. The acidic rinse is to pH correct your hair after you have used something really basic like a homemade shampoo bar to shampoo your hair. Because hair conditioner is really just lotion with more water and less oils than usual, the process to make it is basically the same as making a lotion. We'll heat our oil parts and our water parts separately, combine them, and blend them together. Then we'll add our preservatives and our essential oils, and that's pretty much it. So for this one, we're going to be using BTMS 50 as our emulsifying wax. Because there is an acid in the water part that can destabilize the emulsions with some emulsifying waxes. So I have found that BTMS 50 works for this recipe. I have not tried it with EWax, Reed Emulse, or emulsifying wax NF. I have had a reader report that they tried it with EWax NF and that it didn't work. So I would probably steer clear of that unless that's your only option, but even then, I'm not really sure if it's going to work. BTMS 50 is a really lovely emulsifier though, especially for hair care products because it brings conditioning, like added conditioning properties to this beyond the, the shea butter and the castor oil that we're adding for sort of hair awesomeness. So you might be wondering how to use homemade conditioner. It's really not that different from shop-bought conditioner. So when I wash my hair, I shampoo really thoroughly, absolutely everything. And that's really important because when you're used to commercial shampoos, which are surfactant powered, they're so strong that you can just put the shampoo in up here and it'll sort of clean everything else by just drifting past it. That's not the case with homemade shampoo. So you just gotta, get in the habit of getting yourself like a really good sudsy lather and making sure you're working all around. And so once you've got that rinsed out, we'll take a couple palmfuls. Well, again, that depends how much hair you have. I usually do about 2 palmfuls for sort of this much hair. And we're putting it in from about here down. You don't want it by your roots. The acidic rinse and the fact that there's a bunch of oils in it will make your hair look a lot dirtier, a lot faster. So just sort of from here down works great. This is the hair that needs it the most anyways. This is, your oldest hair. And I'll let that soak in while I'm sort of sudsing up the rest of my body, shaving my legs, and then I'll rinse it out just with lots and lots of clean water. And make sure you do a squeak test. You just like pinch the little hair there and give it a, and you can hear it go, and that's how you know it's clean and you've rinsed everything out. I kid you not, when I first started making homemade conditioner and putting it in my hair and rinsing it out, I was like that person at the office who was sort of constantly just like petting her hair and then going over to my coworkers and like, hey, feel my hair, it's so soft. And they would sort of awkwardly oblige and reach up and like, yeah, super soft. What I'm trying to say is this is pretty good conditioner. You just might find yourself inviting your coworkers to touch your head. Come on, let's get started. Let's kick things off by measuring our oil-soluble ingredients into a heat-resistant measuring cup. So here we have 3 grams of BTMS 50, and this is our emulsifying wax. We have 3 grams of shea butter, and you can use refined or unrefined shea butter for this project. We have 3 grams of castor oil. And 1 gram of vitamin E oil. Now remember, this is not a preservative. Vitamin E is an antioxidant, and because this conditioner contains quite a lot of water, this is not doing anything to extend the shelf life of our product, but is bringing its awesome antioxidant vitamin E goodness to the conditioner. So we'll put that aside and we'll mix up our water part. So in here I have 50 grams of just boiled water, and to that we're going to add 24 grams of apple cider vinegar. This is of course the acidic part of our 2-in-1 creamy hair conditioner, the first part being the creamy part and the second part being the acidic. Here we've got 1 gram of phytokeratin, and this is optional. You could just use an extra gram of water if you don't have phytokeratin. And here we have 15 grams of vegetable glycerin. And then to the water part, we're going to add half a teaspoon of silk. These are silk peptides, but if you have the powder, the amino acid, or the liquid, that will all work. Tussa silk should work too, but you'll have to work a little harder to get it to dissolve. Give that a little stir. And then we're going to put both of these into a water bath. So I have a saute pan here that's got about an inch of water in it. And we'll put both of these measuring cups in here. And then I'm going to take this over to my stove and put this over sort of low to medium heat for half an hour. So you want there to be little bubbles forming on the bottom here, and the water should be steaming, but you don't want it to be really boiling, otherwise it'll sort of toss these around and it also will boil dry a lot faster. So let's head to the kitchen. So it's been about 40 minutes, and you can see I've already combined the two parts, and that's because the oil part solidifies so quickly that we want to combine them while they're still on the heat, and then leave this cup with everything in it in the water bath for a little while to make sure that everything is thoroughly heated through and still liquid. So I'll take this out and put the water bath aside, and now we're ready to start blending. So I've got my trusty immersion blender here. And we'll start with a few short bursts. If you blend it for too long, too quickly, it'll jump out, especially while it's still at this point where it's quite thin and quite hot. You can see that's getting a little bit foamy. It's still very warm and still very liquid. So this is pretty thoroughly emulsified at this point in time, but you can still see it's very thin and it's still very warm. So we're going to leave this to cool for a few minutes and come back and give it some more blending. Five minutes later, hasn't really thickened up much at all. And it's still pretty warm. We'll give this another good blend. It's starting to thicken up a wee bit. You can see that there's some bubbles at the top, but that's not really indicative of the consistency of the entire conditioner at this point in time. We'll let it cool for a bit longer and then come back and check. It's been another 10 minutes, and this is starting to thicken up a bit, and you can see it's a little thicker on the top. We've got a little bit of a thicker coating here on the top of the spatula than we do at the bottom. So we'll give this a stir and a scrape and another blend. It's still warm, but it's no longer hot. Because this is thickened up a reasonable amount, we should be able to do longer blends without the lotion trying to jump out of the container. I'm going to give this one more cooling session before we blend in the essential oils and our preservative. This one doesn't thicken up nearly as much as other lotions because the oil portion is much smaller than a usual lotion. So we're not going to be looking for this to get super, super thick. It's been another 10 minutes and we are finally starting to get to a sort of recognizably lotiony consistency here. It's also cooled to just sort of barely warm, so we're ready to add our essential oils and our preservative. For essential oils, we're doing a lovely blend of grapefruit, and you can use pink or white. I've got white here. And spruce. And so the original recipe calls for fir, but you can really use any coniferous tree oil. So spruce, fir, pine, even cedar, though cedar's quite a bit different from those ones. And then here we have a bit of cardamom. So we're going to start with 20 drops of grapefruit. And we've got 5 drops of cardamom and 10 drops of your spruce or fir or pine. And then you'll need your preservative. So I'm using Liquid Germall Plus, which is a really good sort of all-purpose, hard to mess it up preservative. And so the usage rate for this, the upper end of it, is 0.5%. And so this is about 0.5 gram, since this recipe is a 100-gram batch. We'll put this aside and give this a good blending again. All right, well that's gonna be our last blend, so I'll disconnect the motor there. And we'll give this a knock off and scrape off everything that's on it. Be careful with this part. I have definitely gotten a little too enthusiastic with these bendy spatulas and then flicked a bunch of lotion in my face. Not so much of a big deal here, but if you're doing this with raw soap, that's definitely not something you want to do. All right, now I'll put this aside. Give that a good stir here. You can get rid of this. This is sort of to insulate it from the coolness of the countertop, but it's already cool. And now we're ready to pop this into our package. For our packaging, we're going to be using a pump top bottle. So this is a 4 ounce or sort of 120 milliliter bottle. And this is just a pretty standard pump top. You could use a disc top, but I would not recommend this particular bottle. This is a plastic Boston bottle with a flip disc top, because these you can't squeeze them very well, and so you don't end up getting much product out once squeezing becomes necessary. So we will grab a funnel and we will start to slowly add our lotion or our conditioner. It'll go in really easily because it's nice and thin. Just be sure to watch the level down below so you don't accidentally overfill. If you were quite vigorous with the blending and really pumping the immersion blender up and down, you could have worked quite a bit of air into the conditioner, which will mean that you have more conditioner than you have bottle space. So I'm gonna stop there. It looks like I've got a little bit left over, which I guess I will use to wash my hair right away. We'll set that aside. Pop our lid on. And there you go. You just made a 2-in-1 hair conditioner. There's one fewer bottle in your shower. Thanks so much for watching. Please subscribe. Check the description box below for the full written recipe and links to everything I used in this video. And I will see you next time.